Johnny Depp sued the British tabloid The Sun in November 2020 after one of the articles referred to him as a wife abuser, due to claims regarding his relationship with his ex-wife Amber Heard. However, Johnny Depp lost the case. According to the UK law, The Sun had the burden of proof to establish that he had acquired this title. A contentious trial followed, and its conclusion, the court actually upheld their claims that Heard had been physically attacked by Depp and repeatedly feared for her life. Depp is getting ready for his next $50 million defamation lawsuit against Heard after the court's verdict on November 2nd, and he's already filed an appeal of the ruling. He maintains his accusation that Heard has been attacking him physically and verbally throughout their relationship in retaliation, and his most ardent supporters continue to support this assertion. A 2018 op-ed by Amber Heard that was published to the Washington Post led to Johnny Depp suing her for defamation. "I stood out against sexual violence and was attacked by our culture," according to the op-ed. She describes herself in it as a public persona that represents domestic abuse. Heard seems to suggest that Depp mistreated her during their one-year marriage, according to Depp's legal team. In their joint statement surrounding their divorce in 2016, the couple claimed that neither of their conflicting claims was real. Some feminist pop culture commenters were outraged, but overall there wasn't much passion. The world changed when Harvey Weinstein's initial claims were withdrawn in November of 2017. The idea that wealthy men were assaulting women throughout Hollywood and getting away with it sparked this enormous outrage. It appeared likely that Heard's countersuit against Depp will be heard in court later this year, also in Virginia. After being called a wife beater in an article, Depp sued the executive editor and publisher of a British tabloid for libel in 2018. He sued her for slander 3 months later, seeking $50 million in damages. Heard countersued for $100 million in January of 2021. However, due to recent decisions and the facts that the trial uncovered, such as reports of Depp's substance addiction and the actor's graphic threats made against Heard, studios have professionally distanced themselves from the actor.
That's the thing.
You wanna see crazy? I'll give you nice. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going. You got this going?
I just started it.
Oh, really?
The legal disputes between Britney Spears, a pop icon, and her father, Jamie Spears, have been ongoing for more than 10 years. The 13-year conservatorship of Jamie's father, which was finally terminated in November 2021, was led by Jamie. Since restoring her freedom and independence, Britney has appeared poised to escalate these legal disputes. Britney said in her devastating testimony given during her conservatorship proceedings that her father mismanaged her finances and made money off of her business and other things. A former FBI agent recently concluded, as reported by ET, that Jamie Spears was spying on his daughter and watching her bedroom. Although it seems like this legal battle has been in the works for a while, we believe it's just begun. Many relatives of the 10 festival goers who died from injuries sustained in a crush of fans at Astroworld have declined headliner Scott's offer to cover the cost of the funerals of their loved ones. Attendees of the enormous live performance event have filed severe lawsuits against Travis Scott, who was performing during the tragic mosh pit that resulted in the disaster at Astroworld that claimed the lives of 10 concert goers. 10 people lost their lives, and many others suffered injuries during the event of November 5th. According to BuzzFeed News, Scott was the producer and star of the yearly Houston event, and since the tragedy, Scott's dealt with over 200 lawsuits. Numerous people who have filed lawsuits, according to the site, have cited negligence and encouragement of violence, according to sources close to Scott. He didn't learn about the tragedy until hours after his performance. According to BuzzFeed News, Scott asked to have at least 11 of the cases brought against him dismissed on December 6th through his legal team. It's anticipated that Scott might submit more requests for dismissal in the future. Meghan Markle sued Associated Newspapers in October 2019 for publishing a handwritten letter that she and her father wrote to one another in 2018. Associated Newspaper is the owner of British publications like The Sun. The Duchess claims that these publications violated the Data Protection Act, misused personal data, and infringed on her copyright. However, they've made an effort to counter by asserting that Meghan's letter was not an original work, but rather an official message from the royal family meant for public relations. The letter in question was an anguished plea from Meghan to her father, Thomas Markle, telling him that he was hurting her by continuing to take advantage of her in this way and requested him to stop talking to the media and posing for pictures. The letter's public release was the last straw in Meghan's attempts to contact her father before the royal wedding, and the two haven't spoken since. By December 2021, the court had ruled in Merkel's favor and stated that she was the victor. In a statement, she added, "While our victory sets a precedent, what matters most is that we now collectively brave enough to transform a tabloid industry that trains people to be cruel and profits from the lies and suffering that they cause."
For that purpose, it was not necessary to publish half the contents of the 5-page letter as associated newspapers had done. The court reiterated in conclusion the narrowness of the issues that it.
The musician FKA Twigs filed a lawsuit in December 2020 against actor Shia LaBeouf, alleging relentless abuse, including sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. The complaint was made public by New York Times. She claims in her testimonies at the Times that the actor subjected her to horrible physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. Another of his ex-wives, Carolyn Foe, has also come forward with very similar claims. The Times quotes Twigs as saying that she was afraid to use the restroom at night because he kept a loaded gun beside the bed in case he thought she was an intruder and shot her. He wouldn't let her wear clothes to bed and would turn a small argument like the artist she loved, and he didn't, into an all-night argument that kept her awake. In the case, Miss Barnett and Miss Foe claimed that Mr. LaBeouf objected if they spoke to or stared at male servers. In a subsequent interview, Miss Barnett claimed that she had learned to keep her eyes down when males spoke to her. "I was in an emotionally and physically abusive relationship, which may surprise you," Twigs said on Twitter the day that Times report was published. "I was never expected something like this would happen to me," the speaker said. "It was hard for me to process too, both during and after." Kelly Clarkson was compelled to sue her former management Starstruck Management Group, specifically agents Brendan Blackstock, her ex-husband, and Narvel Blackstock, in a case that we did not see coming, his father. This happened just 4 months after she startled us by filing for divorce after nearly 7 years of marriage, albeit the subsequent legal proceedings have undoubtedly helped to clarify exactly, why they split. Starstruck, who claimed the singer owed them $1.4 million in unpaid management fees, was the first to file a lawsuit before Clarkson. In response, Clarkson said that they never signed a contract, and that neither Narvel nor Brandon had the necessary licenses to serve as her managers. She then went on to covertly file a lawsuit against them, accusing them of defrauding her of millions of dollars in earnings. She claimed that Brandon had been charged her exorbitant fees and that his management services were actually illegal for 13 years. While all of this was happening, they're still attempting to determine their child custody and spousal support plans. Brandon's initial offer was $5 million a year for both of them. So what do you think about these cases and these celebrities? Comment down below with your thoughts and let us know. Well, guys, that's about it for today, so let us know what you think about this. By subscribing to the channel and pressing the bell icon for more feature updates, you might stay current with our newest courtroom topic. Thanks for viewing.